Thank you. Kindly sit down. Vice President Maria Leonor Robredo, Secretary Delphine Lorenzana, and other members of the Cabinet, Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Senate of the Philippines, members of the House of Representatives, Chair Maria Serino Diokno, National Historical Commission of the Philippines, Mayor Laarni Cayetano, ma'am, good morning, General Ricardo Visaya and other members of the Major Service Commanders, General Ronald de la Serna and other officers of the Philippine National Police, officers and members of various veteran organizations, officers and men and women of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, fellow workers in government, my beloved countrymen. It's quite vague to me now, but we had a full discussion of our national heroes. But one, I consider myself among the top, was the late Justice Jose Abad Santos. He was taken prisoner by war then in our country, and it was in Malabang where he was made to swear to the allegiance of the flag of the opposite forces, the enemy. And he refused, and his son began to cry and said, "Father, why don't you just make a salute? It does not make any difference. There are no people here. We are in a prisoner's camp. And you can do it without losing honor, for you are under threat and under duress." You know, from the books that we were lectured on, his answer to his son was, "Son, do not do that to me, because not everyone is given a chance to die for his country. I may be insignificant in this country. I'm not a splendid politician, but how I wish I could hear from my son the same pleading, and how could I would have responded the way the Chief Justice said before he died." One of the heroes that I really, nobody or not everybody is given a chance to die for his country. I have been your president for just a few months, and I have tried my best to restore order in the country. It was really the order that was besetting us day in, day out. And because we have so many fronts to face. I was, before my inauguration, a man in a hurry. I wanted the peace talks to start at the very first year of my term. And I'm just a bit happy, but not so, that we have been able to establish a working relationship about peace with the Communist Party of the Philippines. I was informed by our representatives, Doresa and Belio, and here with the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Junyasay, that everything is going smoothly, and we might hear some definite results in the coming months before December. I pray to God that it would continue as peacefully as we have hoped for, and I hope that I would also have the same success. We have established the modality of the talks, and I would like to salute Murad of the MILF and Noor Miswari for expressing his intention to join us, maybe in one place or different settings. Whatever it is good for me as long as we talk. So now, we have a lull in the three fronts that we really have been fighting ever since. We're talking with the communists now, maybe establish a modus vivendi somewhere with the EMI and MN, and let's begin to talk about peace. I really appreciate all the men and women connected with this enterprise, and I hope someday the Philippines would realize a nation really in peace and everything in order. But there are many things also that places us at the disadvantage now. Things that would create disorder and disturb the peace. We have a drug crisis that some of our fellow citizens consider just a police problem, and even went to the extent that it is an ailment, and that because it's an ailment, the punitive action of the police should not take place. I am sorry for my country, for there are citizens really that fall short of grasping a situation here. 2 years ago, PDEA, which was then under General Santiago, came up with a horrifying statistics that there are 3 million Filipinos addicted to shabu, the meth. And in the ensuing months, when I took over, we had a fairly good and accurate count. Some of them undergoing the urine test to test positive, and they numbered 600,000. Now, if you add that to the earlier prediction of PDEA, add it a little bit of growth at a very liberal and conservative increase, incremental increase of something like 700,000. So you have 3,700,000 Filipinos who are addicted to meth. The problem is the eternal fight between the rich and the poor. And this, strife was injected almost into the level of a contentious issue about drugs. They would want to make it appear that just because this guy is poor and therefore he should not be made accountable to law but placed in a hospital. And even if we wanted to, we do not have the hospital beds of that number. Simply cannot be done. They said, well, he is poor, and whether he has been selling and destroying the lives of people, just so, but he is a poor, so it is the poor now that want a special privilege because they have been attacking worse. So where are the big fish? Time and again I told you, I hope this matter can enter the gray matter between your ears. Kung may utak ka, they are no longer here. They are no longer here, but they continue to play the game. What we have on the level of the streets are the lieutenants at saka yung mga basurero. The only problem now is that a few months before I started, the players involved the law enforcement agencies of our country. And that makes us very, very sad. And that is why there is the ready explanation of why so many. You can just imagine a country with 3,700,000 addicts and say that they are just users. My God, if you are a user, you are a pusher. You have to connect somebody to finance because you have to fix everything. That is why they go around killing people, and when they go skunk in their brain, they rape children, they kill them, rob, and these statistics were never brought up to these people crying about justice. My God, if you want justice to be done, it has to be against everybody. You know, do not give me that just because he is poor, he has to earn, he has to sell shabu. And that act does not really matter to some because they should be protected. I do not simply disagree with you. I consider the fight against drugs a war. There's a crisis in this country. It's drugs. We might still end up like the South American countries under fractured governments. I am declaring war. I am not ordering the police to just a few punitive action. That's why it was not me or I that declared the drug problem and placed it at a level as a national security threat. It was President Arroyo then who was so worried about the problem that she raised it to the level of as a national security threat, and therefore calling the armed forces to do something about it also. But it was not just being brutal that, usually the army does not. You know, if the military will not do its part and leave it to the police alone, we cannot ever suppress the drug problem. It has infected every nook and corner of this country, involving generals, mayors, governors, barangay captains, and so many of the ninjas. They call them, these are the police who are into it. So today I might be inclined to place a reward on their head the members of the ninja or members of the police who are then protecting the drug syndicates in this country. I'm placing per head 2 million. And if you are there, you might want to ipagbili mo na yung mga kaibigan ninyo. I want the police and the armed forces to destroy the drug apparatus in this country. We are a transshipment of so many countries. I just, for a matter of courtesy, in front of the diplomatic corps, I might just do it some other time. But we all know that the Philippines is also a transshipment. If I could just have the matrix there in front of you, then maybe you'd start to believe in me. I have this sworn duty. I am no big politician. I am just a mayor of a faraway city in the south, just facing Australia. And on a clear day, you can see the Australians swimming there in the beach. I came from that place, and I was not even a national figure. But what brought me to the presidency, I really do not know. What gave me, what is really with a huge 15 million, 6 million of which was really the margin above my closest opponent. So what is the message of the Filipino? Well, I conducted a very simple campaign. And I said, my countrymen, if given a chance by God and the Filipino people, I would destroy corruption in government. And it will be done. Whether they like it or not, it will be a clean government at the end of the day. I said I will fight criminality and drugs. Most of the criminal acts are really on the account of the drug meanings. So, I will not relent. The campaign will be continuous, and I will be, as I have said in the campaign rallies all over the country, I will be harsh as I can ever be. When you fight a war, do not give me. I will finish this problem of corruption, drugs, and crime. And I hope at the end of my term, and even if it's, I've been telling Congress, hurry up the federal system, because I said, you follow the country with the presidential office, because that would hold together the country. For example, like France, the only elected leader is aside from nationally, it's the president. He has a very limited powers, but powerful ones. Powerful statements, but very limited. Do not ever commit the mistake, Filipinos, of going into a pure parliament. It would be disaster for this country. Somebody should hold the armed forces and the police to control the country. In the meantime that we march forward to the progress to the next century, and after this, children and our children would have proven it. But at this time, it would be good to have a federal system, because the present unitary type has done us no good. It is an unfair thing. It's the same office, Malacanang. That's why I do not say Malacanang. I just say the People's Palace. Sometimes they call it Malacanang. The word Malacanang is one of the vestiges of imperialism. I'm not comfortable with it, actually. And I should understand when I say I do not ever mention Malacanang. I just say it's a People's Palace. It is the People's Palace, actually. Ayaw kong gamitin yung. So, I do not want to take much of your time. I dedicate again in front of the brave Filipino soldiers who died for us, and we continue to honor them. And this message I have imparted to the military and the police very clearly. You will have my support. You will have all the things that you need to fight criminals. Do not worry. In the pursuit of law and order, pursuant to my directions, you do not have to worry about criminal liability. I will go to the prison for you. I take full legal responsibility. You just do it according to the books. There will always be witnesses, and if you have the witnesses on your side at the time, it might be okay. If there is none, and you are already pressed down, then do not worry. Just call my name, and I will be there to protect you. But for those in government, the police, the corrupt police, and the corrupt judges and the corrupt prosecutors, there will be a day of comeuppance. There will always be a day of reckoning. I hope, I said, we do not want violence. Nobody does. We cannot build a country over the bones of our own citizens. But my God, maybe far and wide in the history of this country, you might not really be meeting someone next time or at all. The kind of mindset that I have. My country first. Do not destroy the Filipinos. As it is, you had drug and criminality has destroyed a part of this generation, our children. You do not hit them hard because the corrosive money effect of money corrupts everybody there. You'd be surprised, the generals and all. Bantay kayo dyan. Talagang matindi to. But as far as I'm concerned, if you are with the government, if you are with the law enforcement, and you start to, then I will not allow you to be buried here. No such thing. I'll burn you at the cremation. Strong words, there's no bravado in it except the sincerity. You know, I do not want to repeat this kind of, but when I was mayor of Davao City, and I was for 22 years, 4 years as the vice mayor of my daughter, and 4 years, 3 years as a congressman, 3 years as when I became mayor in 1988, it was at the crossroads of the lifting of martial law. Cory won, and there was so much disorder in my city. And I just simply said to the hold-uppers, to the drug syndicates, to the criminals, please leave my city. If you do not leave my city, I will kill you. And for those who did not bother to move, they died. That's an open confession. I have not reached that point. But maybe, if you are the persistent, if you still find drug a viable economic livelihood, then there's always something to it. There is always a drawback in this planet. You cannot have your cake and eat it. I say that pity, the guys are there already in the graves. So be it. I will be happy to join them. No problem about that. Prison, no problem. I will go to prison. I will not even ask for a special room. Just give me a bed with a foam. Give me something to read. There's so many books, it's piling up, and I have not really had the chance to read them all. So do not scare me about human rights. Those guys are genocide. But sino ba pinatay ko? Wala naman akong pinatay na bata. I did not drop barrel just like, I'll name them Assad. And the rest of the idiots there in... I do not burn women because they refuse to have sex. I simply want the law-abiding and God-fearing citizens of this country comfortable. Period. No, they are not molested. They can go about anywhere in town. The streets are for their children. They should come home safe and sound. That they are not held up, no hold up, no nothing. We will reach that point. You have to remove me as president or pray that I will die in the meantime with no resurrection. Huwag mo na ako takote yung UN crimes. You must be crazy. Genocide. I'm fighting against criminal. From here, I will fly to Samar. Why? Because I have to commiserate with the family of Gary. Forgot his name. He's a policeman and he was also killed. There are a lot. It's 2 soldiers or police a day for me. Pagkatapos lilipad naman. We're doing all right with the Abu Sayyaf. So that we go back to my premise of the speech. The problem is terrorism and drugs. It's confronting America, terrorism and drugs. Here, it could be China, there's an insurrection there. Thailand, they're blowing up. Turkey is on the edge right now. So, if you just think of just, arresting them and the obra yan. Kaya, ng mga sundalo, pati police, remember this. Mahal ko kayo. Kaya lahat na binigay ninyo, I'm not, mabuti nga, kaping. This was my practice even when I was in grade 1. That's why I always pass, but only the 75 level. Because I usually copy. All study, no play, very bad. This was handed to me by Secretary Jokno. It was I think he's the best that ever was as budget secretary. That's why publicly I'd like to thank you, sir, for accepting my offer to join the cabinet. I really appreciate it very much. And also I might announce that I'm appointing, most of my appointees are really military men, but not because of anything. I do not crave for loyalty for somebody to nurture personal loyalties to me. This is not a dictatorship. I'm going, and I said you can have if you can perfect the federal system 3 years from now, I have 6 years, I will retire. And I'll give way because I cannot be a candidate of an office that was created during my term. So I would be totally out of the picture. And I would gladly step down. No problem about that. And if there's the liability of so many military men, just point it out. But it was Duterte who gave the order. That we had to defend ourselves because we have the widows and children to worry kung ang kalaban mauna. Go ahead, just do your work. But do not, please do not join the other side because you will be the first in the list. Kayo ang mauna. Now for those who were not paid by the previous administrations, actually all of them, for release is 4.7 billion for the payment of the total administrative liability, TAD, arrears of widows and deceased World War II veterans and AFP retirees who are 80 years old and above. The amount is appropriated in 2016 budget but not released by Aquino. Well, talaga yung pangalan niya. Never mind him. Dumaan na siya. It's no longer his problem. The joint IRR to implement the release has been signed by Secretary Jokno and Secretary Lorenzana. 3.5 billion for the widows. Be careful if you are not loyal to your wives. She might be joining the 3.5 billion for the widows. And if I were the wife, I'd think again now, there's 3.5 billion waiting for me. And 1.2 billion for the AFP retirees. So, okay na ba yan? Kulang pa daw, sir. So, it will be released as soon as possible. For the, God forbid that you are the recipient, God forbid, but automatic from my social fund, it's automatic 250,000 pesos. Hindi yan kasali sa mga ano-ano nyo. That's purely from me, sa Office of the President. So, and the 20,000 to immediately get hold of the money. And, Filipinos, they have this, we have this habit. I just share with you the idiosyncrasies of the Philippines. I do not know they got it, but I said, maybe I'm not trying to offend anybody, but the practice is for 9 days. If you die here, the practice is 9 days before you can be buried. So on the 9th day, so first you are poor in the rural areas, you have to sponsor a dinner, lunch for the 9 days away. The same cannot part with their loved ones. But that is a culture which has to be corrected, little by little. It's deeply rooted in our religion, and though it's not a good one. I mean, and also with the birth of family planning, I will push it hard, really hard. We need the family planning, and we need to rationalize everything there. So I'd like to thank all of you, especially the Diplomatic Corps, for sharing this moment with us. And we are all very happy. We have this problem now. China, it's not worth I don't go to war. So if I do not, there's always war and peace. If I am not ready for war, then peace is the only thing. I will keep silent now, and the ambassador is there, but I would state my case before you. I will never bring the matter, because it might lead only to the suspension of the talks with China, and that is not good, Mr. Ambassador. So I propose that we just have a soft landing everywhere. I will not use the judgment arbitral now, but I would one day sit in front of your representative or you, and then I will lay bare my position. And I would say that this paper, I cannot get out of the four corners of this document, and that is the arbitral judgment. But for now, Mr. Ambassador, I want to just talk to you for the moment. Maybe give us time to build our forces also. We have so much superiority. But if it comes to a parity between as many ships as you have, maybe, just maybe. But if we continue and treat each other with brothers and understand, especially the plight of the fishermen, and they're almost really, that's why they are there, because they are poor. And I know the dynamics inside China. It has been explained to me very well. But if the Chinese people this time might find a place in their hearts for the Filipinos. After all, I come from, there's a Chinese blood in me. So I hope that you treat us as your brothers, not your enemies, and take note of the plight of our citizens. Maraming salamat po.
Marami pong salamat sa ating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte para sa inyong napakagandang pananalita.